Welcome everyone to the live stream for the point and click game we are building called An Adventurer's Tale. Before we dive in today, a little bit of an introduction for those of you who might be new here and might have never tuned in before. I am Tim Anderson, one part of the Wandering Hermits. It's made up of myself, my brother Joey Anderson, and my wife Christina Barrios, and we are working on a multi-part project which includes a point and click game in the old style of the King's Quest and Quest for Glory games, alongside a 5th edition tabletop setting, and that comes with campaign modules and a source book and everything else, along with a series of books which are being published, I should say, in the style of Dragonlance, which has chapter art and everything else, and those are being published over on our Patreon page. Everything we're doing is through our Patreon page. So if you want to learn more about this project, you watch this today and you go, this sounds interesting. You can go over to our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/wandering hermits, and you can find more information about things. You can also pre-order all of the source books and campaign modules for the adventure game. I need to restart because I have been sick, and so I need more coffee. You can pre-order the source book and all the campaign modules as well as the adventure game, and also get access to the chapters. They are published twice a month. Chapter 11 is being published tomorrow, actually, and Christine is wrapping up the artwork for that today. What I wanted to show people today was I wanted to dive into the point and click game. We've shared the demo. We launched the demo, I think October 26th, might have been October 28th, sometime the end of October of last year. So it's been out in the wild for a couple of months now. We obviously have a teaser trailer up on the Weave and Void YouTube channel, which you can check that out. If you want to play the demo, you can easily do so. Just go over to the Patreon page as aforementioned, and you can find a link to the newsletter. Sign up for the newsletter, and you will get an automatic link sent to you, which has the download to the demo. I'm going to be diving in this a little bit today. I was going to do this earlier, but I've been under the weather, so hopefully I don't sniffle and cough too much today as I work my way through things. What I wanted to showcase today was a little bit of what went on behind the scenes, talk a lot about the writing and the Easter eggs, and if you've never played a point and click adventure game, what you can expect to see from ours, because I know if you go to, if you ever follow like Steam or Kickstarter, you'll see a lot of the point and click games that are coming out in recent years still have the old pixel art of like the early 90s, early to mid 90s. We're not doing that. We went with a more, even though it's stylized, we went with a more modern, realistic look for our point and click game. The screenshot you see on the screen right now represents that. And as I dive in here, you'll get a chance to take a look at this. And we're going to walk through, hopefully without any bugs. We've played this multiple through, and we really haven't had any bugs or crashes, but always knock on wood when you're streaming because you never know what could go wrong. So if you do see anything funky, you'll know why. So let's get this up and running here and just dive right in and do a walkthrough of our point and click game called An Adventurer's Tale. This game is set in the world of the Weave and the Void, in the same world at the same time as the campaign for the 5th edition is taking place. So this is in that same timeline. The same thing goes for the book series that's being published through Patreon. All of these things are taking place at the same time, relatively speaking, and there are Easter eggs from each one of these projects that kind of link back to each other, and we're going to be talking about that today as we dive into this. So let's get this opened and dive right in. Oop, I clicked past that, so I apologize. We're going to dive right in. Let me restart this real quick because I accidentally clicked, and I actually want to show everybody the intro here, and I got a little anxious with my clicking there because there is an intro to read through. You awaken from a night of dreams that kept you tossing and turning until daybreak. You can't remember any specific details, but you have the distinct feeling you were being chased in all of them. The familiar surroundings of your bedroom at the back of the Stony Brook Tavern in the sleepy village of Marin's Rest gives you some small comfort. The smell of bacon wafts in under the door, and you can faintly hear the sounds of people on the other side. You push yourself up from your bed with a sigh. Another day in this backwater village. I may need to extend the time on that. I'll have to chat with my brother about that. let's let's dive in here real quick. So if you've never played a point and click game, it's very simple. You've got your mouse and you can click to move. You can also click to interact with objects, so on and so forth. And you start off in the bedroom here. Now, we currently only have the male avatar in the game. We are going to be eventually providing players with the opportunity to choose a male or female at the beginning of the game. So you can choose to go through the game with your chosen avatar. Now, one of the things we've done to accommodate that is, from a writing standpoint, I've been going through and making sure that the dialogue has all been written from a neutral standpoint. So rather than referring to a character as male or female, we just use a generic pronoun. Now, this has nothing to do with the Me Too movement or anything like that. It's just from a writing perspective, it's an easy way to accommodate having multiple sexes of avatars without needing to rewrite entire lines of dialogue and have multiple dialogue chains going on. So right now we only have the mail in because that's what we needed to get in for the demo when we launch this at the end of October. So when you start off here, you're going to notice you can move your mouse around and there's items and objects that you can interact with. Now, there are different ways that you can interact with things. And you'll notice on the inside of this mouse pointer, there's a circle. Right now it's blank. And if I move over an object, it will reflect what I can do with that object. Right now it has a magnifying glass on the inside of it, which means we can inspect that item. Over here, also inspect. If we look at the dirty mug, it has a bag icon, which means it's something that can be picked up and put into your inventory. We check the chest, it has a gearbox, which means that it's something you can interact with. Now, and I'm not going to tab out right now because it'll kill the sound, but I just want to say good morning also to you, Sparrow, and Gila, thank you very much. I do feel a little bit better today. Today is my third day of antibiotics, so I still had a fever a little bit yesterday afternoon, so I'm still fighting it, but and I just don't even want to talk about the phlegm. But I think I'm getting better. We'll see. So yes. Well, welcome everybody. Let me know if the volume's okay, volume levels, because the sound for this, since it's a demo, we don't have a lot of options to adjust things, so I hopefully I got everything right in OBS before I started streaming. So anyway, that goes over the basic types of things you can do. Now, also, obviously, if you want to go into something, you can click on the object, like the bookshelf. While not as full as the shelves of lore and lexicons, you have managed to scrounge up a few decent titles over the years, either purchased with your own coin or gifted by Rupert Longshanks, proprietor of the only bookshop in Marin's Rest. There may also be a couple of titles that you came upon by somewhat less than proper means, which we're not going to get into that. We can leave that up to your imagination. So if it's something that only has like the magnifying glass, you can generally only inspect it, and it won't matter if you right or left click. It'll just automatically bring up the dialog window. To bed. This is your favorite worldly possession, which is where you spend the better part of your resting hours, dreaming of the day when you will become a great adventurer. Now, let's look at something like, say, the dirty mug. Now, since this has a bag icon over it, we can right-click it. The dirty milk. I might be thinking of the wrong one here. Hold on. Okay, so this one is only one that you can pick up. Oh, there it is. So when you left click it, you have the option. I was thinking it was right click. I haven't played my own demo in like 2 months. So if you left click it, you're going to get this option here. You have the option to inspect it or loot it. Now if you inspect it, you get the dialogue option as if you had right clicked it, because right click actually inspects, which I had forgotten about that. So left click, you get an options menu. So we're going to go ahead and pick that up because it says the remains of your oatmeal and milk from the night before, better get this to your mother for cleaning before it starts to stink up the room. Now we're giving people a little subtle hint here that this is something that you're going to need to pick up and take to deliver to someone, in this case, your mother. So we're going to go ahead and put this into our inventory, which right now is, you should turn this into your mother so she isn't wondering where the mug went off to. So we get a pop-up dialogue telling us what we need to do. And once we're done reading this, we can click past it. And you'll notice that we now have a dirty mug in our inventory. And right now, we have a limited inventory. Later on, Joey and I have talked about this. He will be adding an actual bag. If you remember like the old King's Quest or Quest for Glory games, right now I'm playing Gabriel Knight Sins of the Fathers for my point-and-click classic series. You can have a bag as well as your limited inventory, and we want to have more items than just 7 items, so we'll be able to do that eventually. Now if you come down here and look at the dirty mug, you can actually right click it and you'll get the inspection dialogue as well. Now sometimes the dialogue is going to be different once you've picked something up, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get deeper into this. So there's a bunch of stuff you can look through here. I'm not going to go through all of these items because I don't want to spoil it for people who want to play the demo for themselves. So let's go ahead and head on out to deliver this to our mother. So here's the door to the tavern, which we can inspect, and we can just choose to use. Uh-oh, this door seems to be locked. You will need a key to unlock it. So now we have come to our first sort of puzzle, needing an object to interact with another object to proceed in the game. In this case, we need a key. Now, this was a lot of fun for my 6-year-old nephew, because he went around and read all the dialogue and everything else. Now, those of us who are adults and who have played games before and have a lot of experience with games, we're going to very quickly go through everything and realize that, oh, it's over here in the storage chest. A simple chest where you keep items of importance, such as the key to your room and some spare clothes, along with some trinkets, such as a strange, small blue gemstone you found while exploring in the forest the other day. So we're going to go ahead and we get the option here to inspect or to use. We're going to go ahead and use this. Lid pops open. Now notice at the bottom right, we got a couple of items that popped up right there. It says you open the chest. Inside you see a small key, some spare clothes, and a strange gemstone. You add the key and the strange gemstone to your pack. Now, we now have an additional couple of items in our inventory, one of which is the key, a simple iron key forged for a simple iron lock. And of course, the strange gemstone, which if we inspect it, a small blue gemstone the size of your thumb. It has several runes carved into its surface, and it glows with a slight warmth. You found it inside of an old stump in the woods east of town the other day when you were out foraging for mushrooms. Oops. Alright. Now we go back over here to the door. It still says it needs to be locked, so I take the key. Now I click it, and you'll notice that the space on the interior of my pointer now has the key icon filling that black space, which means I have the key selective and actively in my clicker. Then I can click on the door. It takes the key, unlocks the door, and now I can move over to the tavern. Alright, now we have entered the Stony Brook Tavern. Now, this is where I want to, we'll show a little bit here of what you can do. But what I really want to talk about this morning is Easter eggs, and why if you've never played a point-and-click game before, and you're going to be playing our game, it's going to behoove you to take your time and read through all of the descriptions of everything around, because you'll find Easter eggs, tips, hints, and other things, because there's not a quest journal, there's not a quest tracker. You actually need to read the dialogue and pay attention to things, and you'll often find hints and tips on what to do by reading these things. So first and foremost, obviously we can look at all of these things, and we're going to get to that in a minute, but first and foremost, we know that we need to deliver this mug to our mother. So let's go ahead and go over here. Marion Ifen is our mother. We can inspect her. A cheerful woman who could be called handsome rather than beautiful, quick to smile and sharp of wit, she has owned the Stony Brook Tavern for as long as you have known her, and given that she is your mother, that means your entire life. So let's go ahead and talk to her. Good morning, child. Here, mother, this mug needs cleaning, so we're going to deliver this to her. One of these days, you're going to have to learn how to clean your own dishes. And how many times have I told you not to take food to your bedroom? So we've delivered the mug. Now from here, we can go ahead and talk to her again. And this is very important. When you're playing this game, NPCs will have different dialogue options depending on what steps of the quests you're on. So coming back and talking to NPCs over and over again is going to be something that you're going to want to do because they will often have additional dialogue and additional quests to offer you based on the steps of whatever progression you're on right now, or the world state as it would be. So we're going to go ahead and talk to her now because we've turned in the mug, so we have therefore changed the world state. We've changed the state of the world. So now if we talk to her, hello, Sleepyhead. She has a different line of dialogue. She also has additional lines, new lines of dialogue here. Say, ha ha ha, you're so funny, mother. And she says, I'm funnier when you help out. Go fetch that dirty plate from the table over there and bring it back to me so I can clean it. So she's given us an additional quest here. And then I ask her, anything exciting happen while I was getting my beauty sleep? She says, other than Rand Pearlstein looking like his wife got the better of him in an argument, no, it's been a quiet morning. And you look like you could still use a few more sessions until you are beautiful. And I say, thanks, Mom, how are you feeling? Well enough, my dear, though old man Milton is smelling a bit riper than usual today. So we'll be going now. So she asked me to pick up a dirty plate from one of these tables. Doesn't look like it's anything over here. Oh, there we go, dirty plate. So if we come over here and click on it, we get the inspect option or the loot option. It's a dirty plate that was left on the table. So let's pick this up, loot it. The wooden dish only has a few crumbs left on it. Whoever ate here earlier must have been hungry. So now we have this plate in our inventory. And this is where we get an additional sort of tips. When you're inspecting things in your inventory, they will often give you a line of dialogue that reminds you of what you're supposed to do with that item. That way you know what you should do should you have forgotten. This is our way of saying, even though we don't have a quest tracker, we try to give you tips and hints in the dialogue as to what you might need to do next. So we're going to go back to her. We're going to talk. And we're going to say, here's the dirty plate, Mother. And she's going to say, thank you. Then she's going to say, if you would, please deliver this loaf of bread to the smith, Corbin Fern, and then return with his payment afterwards. So now that spawned a loaf of bread on the counter. If we inspect that, it says a freshly loafed bake of bread. Sorry, I said that wrong. A freshly baked loaf of bread. Okay, there we go. So now let's pick that up. The loaf of bread is still warm to the touch. The smell fills your nostrils and causes your mouth to water slightly. And now we have this loaf of bread, and if we inspect it, this one actually looks like it's missing a line of dialogue. I found a bug. Loaf of bread missing description dialogue in inventory. See, even after all these times, this is great coming back to this a couple months down the road because I didn't notice that the first time, and obviously no one's picked up on it. So, but that's missing a line of dialogue, so that'll get added in a patch coming up. All right, so we have a loaf of bread that we're supposed to deliver to the smith, Corbin Fern. Now, if we talk to her, don't forget to take that bread to Corbin Fern before it gets cold. So she knows that I have the loaf of bread on me and that I need to deliver it. And so she doesn't have any additional dialogue for me at the moment because I haven't completed the quest that she gave me. Oftentimes NPCs will have these lines of dialogues to remind you that, hey, you're supposed to be doing something for me. I won't talk to you again until you finish this. So let's dive in and talk a little bit about Easter eggs and the writing. Now, going back to what I said at the beginning when I started this, because this is a three-part project, we have the point-and-click game, we have the 5th edition tabletop setting and campaign modules, and we have the book chapters, which are being published through Patreon. All of these tie together, and they all have Easter eggs that link back into each other. So I'm going to give you an example of this. So for those of you who have read the book series so far, the chapters of the book, you know that there are a series of main characters, one of which is a dwarf called Thanon Rockguard. And in the book series, Stan Rockguard is one of the main protagonists. He also shows up in the campaign module, the first campaign module, Escape from Parthana, because the player characters, as they are entering the city of Parthana, will be interacting with Stan Rockguard, because Stan Rockguard has a forge in the city of Parthana. So not only do you get to actually read about him as a protagonist character in the book series, you then get to interact with him and do quests for him and alongside him in the tabletop setting. And then if you come here to the point and click game, there's this goatkin skull on the wall. The massive skull of a goatkin that once roamed the countryside for a season, killing local livestock, and sits on the wall above the bar. There is a crevice in the middle of the forehead where the beast was felled with a mighty blow of an axe. Now above this goatkin skull is an axe, and if we click on the axe, this is where we get the Easter egg. The axe of one Thanon Rockguard, the dwarf who led the adventuring party who slew the goatkin menace all those years ago. If you look closely, you can still see flecks of its green blood along the blade and haft, or at least your overactive imagination has led you to believe that you can see the blood of the beast, despite how many years it's been. So this is one of those moments where if you've read the book series and you've played the tabletop game, and then you come play this, you're going to read this and you're going to go, I know who Thanon Rockguard is. Conversely, if you have never done the other two, but you play this, you see the mention of Thanon Rockguard, and then you go read the book chapters, and you're like, wait a second, isn't Thanon Rockguard the name of the guy who used the axe to kill that creature that was in the tavern? So these things all tie together. Also, the smith here in town, Corbin Fern, when you're reading the book series, you'll notice that Corbin Fern was an apprentice of Thanon Rockguard's once upon a time. So that there's another Easter egg there for people who have read the book. It's literally a small phrase in one of the chapters, and then which you're going to see in chapter 11, which is getting published tomorrow. The adventuring party is actually in the village of Marin's Rest, where this game takes place, and they have another interaction with, the first interaction of the book with Corbin Fern. So there's another throwback to this village that this point-and-click game is set in. Now, those are just the Easter eggs for the interlinking projects. Now let's talk about overarching Easter eggs. There's a lot more in the bookstore, and we'll maybe go over there next and kind of show you a little bit. But for those of you who are fans of a certain science fiction show that was canceled once upon a time, over here there's a mug of ale. And if you click on the mug of ale to inspect it, it's called Mutter's Milk. All the protein, vitamins, and carbs of your grandma's best turkey dinner, plus 15% alcohol. Now, not everyone's going to get that reference, but some people will. And for those of you who do, there's additional Easter eggs here, because when you inspect the man who's drinking the ale, his name is Malcolm. Sitting alone at a table with a mug of ale in front of him, the man you've heard Master Fern call Captain Mal on occasion has a sour look on his face as he ponders something. You wonder what he was a captain of and when. So this was me going having a little fun with the writing and going, how can I tie in an Easter egg to one of my favorite shows from television? And it doesn't stop here, because if we go over here and inspect these two characters over at the bar, we have a woman called Zoe, a tall woman with dark skin. You get the feeling that this is not a person who you would want to get into an altercation with. She is eyeing the man beside her at the bar with mild amusement. Now, I couldn't call him Wash because that would have been too obvious, so I used his real name, which is Hoban. This is an average-looking man who is known about town for his sense of humor. Hoban is currently attempting a series of just cheesy one-liners on the tall Amazonian woman at the bar next to him. So this is another, again, same world, same show, same everything, and it's just a fun little thing to tie in here. Now, if we go around here and look at all of the other individuals and read the news board and the barrels and the fireplace and old drunk, Milton the old town drunk stinks as bad as he always does. The only reason your mother tolerates him is he somehow always manages to have enough coin to keep himself deep in his cups with a fully paid tab, despite having no known job that anyone is aware of. So the rest of these, as you go around here, not everything is going to be an Easter egg. Some things are just going to be for the purpose of the game. But if you dig deep enough, you will find these Easter eggs. So let's go on out to the actual village. I want to talk a little bit more about the Easter eggs because they are deep and they are varied. We're going to go to Lore and Lexicons, which is the bookstore here in Marin's Rest. Now this is where things get fun because a lot of this stuff is game specific. But I can't remember which one of these it is. Is it? It might be. It's the table, inkwell and quill. It's not that one. Is it the scroll? Nope. Rupert Longplake's fireplace. Rupert's desk. I know there's another. There's a book somewhere in here, and I don't remember where we put it. Which is a throwback to the playtesting we did for the campaign. Because there was a book on, let's talk to him real quick. One of the things that came up during our playtesting of the Escape from Parthana module back in August and September, we came up with this book on interracial relationships between dwarves and elves, and it was basically a dating guide on how to date between elves and elves and oh, there it is right here. Here it is. The worn leather-bound tome has the title Dwarves and Elves, the Etiquette and Protocol of Interspecies Relations in silver lettering upon the spine. You've never heard of dwarves and elves being involved in relationships, but you suppose it's not out of the realm of possibilities. Still, it sounds like advanced reading. Better stick with adventuring tales. So that's just a quick little throwback to something that happened during the playtesting with our patrons back in August and September. Now that may or may not be something that shows up in the actual campaign as players play through it, but this is just another one of those fun little things that has a tie-in. That's a really obscure tie-in, though. That's a really obscure Easter egg because it's only going to make sense to people who either watched the playtest sessions on YouTube or playtested with us when we did this. Now, if you come upstairs, this is where we can get fun, and there's bookshelves, and there's different books around here, especially over in this one, I think it is. Let's see here. This massive book has the image of a large serpent eating its own tail depicted upon the cover. The author is listed as one James Oliver Rigney Jr., and the book is something about a circle of time or some such. The book is so huge that you have always felt it was too daunting a tome to pick up. Now, this is obviously a reference to the Wheel of Time, but we don't want to make these Easter eggs explicit. We want them to be sort of deep cuts so that only people who are really fans of these things would know what we're talking about here. So that's a good example. And I'm pretty sure one of these is The Hobbit. No, that's referring to my own book series, the Saga Leucemia. But I know there's one here that's about The Hobbit. Oh, this one's Narnia. This weathered copy is missing a chunk of the bottom cover, likely from one of Rupert's previous companions of the feline variety who liked to gnaw on things. Inside is a collection of tales regarding 4 children who travel to another realm through a wardrobe, of all things, and become kings and queens, along with one about a ship captain, talking rats, a horse and his boy, and a magician and his nephew. So there's this one, which is a throwback to Narnia. That's not the right one. Where is the one that has... here it is. An old worn tome bound in red leather sits upon the shelf, with the initials BB inscribed in gold leaf upon the spine. The title upon the cover is There and Back Again. You've never read this book, although Rupert has recommended it on several occasions as one of his favorites. So we would be looking at this and going, oh, Bilbo Baggins, There and Back Again. This would be the actual Hobbit novel. So these are just a few of the fun things that I've thrown in here from a writer's standpoint to give players additional things to dive into. Now, these don't necessarily pertain to the story, but they are there, which is why we tell people when you download this demo and go to play through it, if you're just focusing on the main quest line and you're like barreling through, you can probably complete this in 20 to 30 minutes. But if you take your time and read everything and really sink your teeth in, we've had some people who've gotten 45 minutes to an hour of just going through. But it's just your time's going to vary depending on everything. When we shot for this length of the demo, we said, comparable demos on Steam seem to be about 20 to 30 minutes, so that's what we shot for ours. So over here, we've got the Fire and Flint Forge, Sharpening Stone. Sharpening Stone is well worn and perhaps halfway through its life cycle. Several blades are stacked nearby, waiting their turn at the wheel. You wonder if Master Fern will have you sweating away at the stone today. So this is the smith we were talking about earlier, which if you've read the books over on Patreon, the chapters, he's mentioned a couple of times as a former apprentice of Than and Rockguard, the dwarf whose axe is above the goatkin in the tavern, and who is one of the main characters in the storyline. So we can inspect him. A middle-aged man has the rugged frame of someone who has spent their entire life swinging a hammer. His face is lined, but his eyes are kind, and he gives you a friendly nod as you approach. Let's go ahead and talk to him. We can deliver this bread. Greetings, apprentice. Oh, so I'm actually his apprentice. That's a new plot thing unfolding here. We actually work for him. I have the loaf of bread you were expecting from my mother. She has perfect timing. I was just about to have my midday meal. Here's the coin. Your mother will be expecting me. So he's going to give me something, and when I click this, we should see in the bottom right, we should see a coin icon as it goes to my inventory. Yep, plus coins. So good morning, how are you today? My hands still grip the handle of my hammer well enough, and I'm not yet a white beard. I would say that is as good as one could expect. Any news, master? Those paladins came nosing around the forge earlier this morning looking for some elven mage or some such. I reminded them we haven't seen their kind around these parts for nigh on a year now, but I reckon they'll be back again in a day or three. So, we get a little bit of an inkling about the paladins. And we say we're going to be going. And yeah, Gila, Robert Jordan's real name. That was something that I thought was fun to throw in here. It's not necessarily obscure, but it's definitely something that is not going to be known to everybody. Especially if they've only ever watched the Amazon show and they just know the name Robert Jordan. Alright, so we have the coin to deliver to my mother from Corbin Fern. So this is a quest turn in. Here's the coin from Master Corbin. Thank you, child. Hopefully he'll remember it. Now here's where we talked about earlier, coming back to NPCs multiple times. If we talk to her again, she has a whole bunch of new dialogue options now. And we can go through these. You can go through these and read through these. These are general information about what's going on in the world around you, about the town and everything else. And sometimes dialogue options will lead you to other quests. Now, I don't want to spoil anything else about this demo. I just wanted to do a quick walkthrough today to show everybody a little bit of what we've got going on here, because I haven't actually done my own walkthrough yet. We've just done the teaser trailer. Nathan Napalm did a walkthrough, Simmerg did a walkthrough, but we hadn't done one on our own, so I wanted to get that done for everybody today. So hopefully you enjoyed. If you want to download this demo and play it today, you can absolutely do so. It's completely free. Head on over to the Patreon page, which is patreon.com/Wandering Hermits, and you can find the newsletter link, sign up to the newsletter, and you will get a download link sent to your email where you can then download the demo and sink your teeth in. Now, if you want to go above and beyond and you want to pre-order this game, you absolutely can. One of the pre-order tiers on Patreon is specifically set up for people who want to alpha and beta test this game as well as pre-order it. You can also pre-order the 5th edition source book and the first campaign module. Those are due out in a few months. The adventure game, we're not sure about the timeline yet, but sometime this year. It'll probably be the latter part of the year when this will be out. And of course, the basic subscription over on Patreon for $3 a month gets you access to the book chapters as they're published twice a month, as well as concept art and a whole bunch of other cool stuff. So you can head on over to Patreon, read up on all of the descriptions of the tiers, figure out what works best for you. And if you want to know more information about our game, don't forget you can also join our Discord. Links are down below here on Twitch, and if you are watching this later on over on YouTube, Also, the links are down below. Now, in terms of all the things that we're doing here on Twitch related to this project, we have on Monday nights, or Monday afternoons, I should say, Monday afternoons at 5 p.m. Central, I'm doing Incarnate streams, doing map building in Incarnate for the tabletop stuff. On Tuesdays, I'm doing miniature painting for tabletop miniatures at 5 p.m. Central. On Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Central, we do our weekly stand-up with myself, my brother, and my wife as we talk about the things we've worked on in the week before and the things we're going to be working on in the week ahead on all of the different aspects of this project. On Patreon, we publish 3 times a week. Every Tuesday is a tabletop update. Every Thursday is a book chapter or a concept art update or a general update such as an expense report. And then Sundays is exclusive to the adventure game, and we do adventure game updates on Sundays. On Sunday nights here on Twitch, we also stream Dungeons and Dragons with our friends Nathan Napalm, Simmerg, Bounty Code, Sparrow, and of course my wife, my brother, and I, 9 p.m. Central here on Twitch. We are currently playing The Lost Mine of Phandelver, using that as training wheels to learn Fantasy Grounds, and then we're going to be switching over to the actual Weave and Void campaign later on in 2022, around the same time that the source book and the campaign module are available for purchase. We will then be starting the live stream campaign of that on Twitch, so stay tuned for all of that stuff. If you haven't already done so and you're here on Twitch, don't forget to follow this Twitch channel. Subscribe if you'd like to. It's a great way to throw back to our community. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you get updates for all the future content on what we do there and here. And additionally, my brother does a how to build a point-and-click game in Unity series over on our YouTube channel, which is all about the building of this game. He's got 5 videos in that series so far, and we show you the kits and the asset packs and everything else that we're using for this game, as well as the kit bashing that he's doing to put this all together in an Unreal. I might have said Unity earlier, but it's Unreal. It's early. I'm feeling under the weather. It's being built in Unreal, not Unity. Unreal 4 is what we're using. So you can check that video series out over on YouTube as well. We don't stream those. We did stream a session together a couple of weeks ago. We're thinking like once a month we're probably going to stream on like a Saturday morning where he and I are going to sit down and he's going to walk us through what he's been working on for like the last few weeks in Unreal and show us the demo as this progresses into a full-fledged game. So if you want to watch all those things, you can obviously watch those on YouTube. And of course, like I said, don't forget to subscribe here on Twitch as well and follow along so that you get all the updates when they go live. Join our Discord, links are down below, and hopefully everybody enjoyed this morning. I am going to go get some more coffee, and hopefully everyone has a good day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned. We'll be back later on with more stuff based on the schedule that I just mentioned. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.